Hello and welcome to a tutorial on how to make a platformer game. I will start by making a backdrop for the game. Got myself a blue backdrop, use whatever you want, and I'll make some platforms. Black, a line here, a line up here, and finish line here, and finish line I'll make maybe a red and a bit thicker. You can have your finish line either be a sprite or a color. I like to use colors. And then I'll go find myself a sprite. You could make yourself one. I'll use this ball. And I will start off with when green flag clicked. Set the size to something smaller. To maybe 70%. Then I'll have it show. And then bring in a go-to. Start around here in midair. Negative 202 and negative 84. And then I'll make some variables. I'll have Y position and X position and lives. I'll deal with lives later. For now, just close them. And I want to set our Y position to be 0 at the start. Our Y position's in a way like gravity, but it's not exactly like it. So I want to start by setting gravity to 0, so the ball has a second before it starts using gravity to actually start up here instead of down here or wherever. Then I'll bring in a forever loop, and then I want our gravity to change by around negative 0.5. So the ball will forever be falling down. And then I have an if pressed. If I click the left or the right key, I want to change my X position by about, one's good. And then I want the left one to also change, but by -1. Then I'll set my X position to be multiplication. Then I have my X position. I'll have it be multiplied by 0.9. So this decimal helps the ball to go up faster to around a certain number. And after that, it won't go any faster than that. So it's not a sudden full speed and then a sudden stop. This helps it speed up and then slow down. Then I want to change our X by the X position. Then I'll move on to Y. Start with an if touching the color black. Again, you can use sprites for the platforms, but I like to use colors. It's a bit simpler. I want to change the Y by +1. Duplicate that, put it in here. Duplicate, put it in here till about 6. That's the sweet spot that I found. So what this does, and then change this by -6. So what this does is when the ball hits the black, it's gonna at the same time go up and then fall back down. And if you did just one +1 then -1, the ball will look like it's bouncing and it just won't stop bouncing. So what I've done here is I've done it, make it go up, then up, then up, and 6 times is the sweet spot. So after it goes up 6 and then down 6, it doesn't look like it's bouncing. Then we'll bring in another if-else loop. Remove the Y, change this to a button clicked if we click the up button. We want to set the Y position to 10. So this lets the ball go up, and then once it reaches Y velocity 0, then it'll fall back down. And if, another if, if else, this should be an if else loop. If we click the up, want to set the Y, and at the same time, if our X velocity, or position, sorry, is less than 0, or greater than 0, we want to set X velocity to -10. Oops, it should be an else. If greater than. All this does is make it so that the ball can't go through these lines. Or if you had like a sprite with like a square, it'd do the same thing. It kind of acts as a wall, so the ball can't go through this. And then else we want to change the X by the X velocity position, sorry, by 0.9. So back to what it was before. And then once that's done, set the X position to 0. I'm going to go and change this to X velocity. Makes it a bit easier. Rename X velocity. And then we'll go all the way down and tell the code that we want to change our Y by the Y position and another if loop. If we're touching the color black, then we want to change our Y position by the Y position times -1. Put that down here. And then, so this makes it land on the black and stop moving. Set the Y velocity to 0 position, sorry. Then after that's done, we want to change the Y by -0.5. And then another if, but we want an if and. If we're touching the color and we press the up key, then we want to set the Y position to 10 and then change the Y by 0.5 again. And that should make it so the ball moves and bounces. Okay, set it on the black. Okay, that doesn't seem to be working. Give me a second, I'll just check in if I found it. So this should have been Y position. Okay, so it fell on the black, and then it'll jump, and you can go onto the platforms. They look to be okay. Now we'll bring in some obstacles. I'll just make them sprites. You could, again, draw them on. There, no outline. Center it. Make it smaller. And duplicate. Call this obstacle 2. Obstacle 1. Position 1 to be about here. 2 to be here. Plop it down here. You can position it properly later. So when the flag's clicked, you want it to show. Set the size to about 50% and go to where it is at the moment. So negative 144 and negative 110. See? It's a bit too small. Maybe 70%. Looks okay. Bring it down to about 115 or 116. Let's try that. Looks okay. And the same thing for the other one. When the flag's clicked, want it to show itself. And set the size to about 70. And then go to negative 13, negative 17. If you don't know, the X position, Y position of the object currently is down in the corner right here. Bring that down to about negative 23. Yeah, looks okay. And now we want to go to the ball and bring in another if clicked. And then a forever. And then an if touching the color this broadcast, or not broadcast, we want it to go back to the starting, which is about there. Go to the starting and change your lives by negative 1. Let's test that out. Yeah, okay. Let's bring in a show, variable lives, position it to here, and set lives to 0, or 3, sorry, so it goes down. Okay, and now we want an if lives equals 0, if lives equals 0, broadcast game over, new message called game over, and then another one for if you're touching the finish line. That's salmonish color. Want to broadcast win. If you're making a game with multiple levels, you would broadcast something to make the backdrop switch to the other level. When our ball touches the finish line or the salmon color, it'll broadcast win. And now we'll make ourselves some win and lose pages. Oops. To win. Red. And then we make ourselves a you lose page. You lose. Call this, or just game over. Lose. Win. Now in our code, ball. If we're touching the red, broadcast win. And if touching green and live equals 0, broadcast game over. When green clicked, set backdrop to backdrop 1. When I receive game over, switch backdrop to lose. When I receive win, set the backdrop to win. And now we want it to, when the backdrop switches to backdrop win and backdrop lose, we want it to hide. And the same thing for the obstacles. And let's try that out. Okay, and let's hide the lives. If touching green, change lives. If brought lives equals 0, hide the lives. Try that. So the problem is that our backdrop's the same color as our obstacles, so we'll just go change that. Select and change it to this purplish. Let's go back to start. 2, 3. Whoa. Let me go see what's up. Just change all the colors. So this is the green, our backdrop. This is a red-ish. Change that to like the blue. And then try that again, maybe. You lose. And if we jump over, if we hit the red, you win. How did our lives go up? Did not see that. Move this over. Okay, and then when backdrop switches, we want to hide the variable and hide when we switch to win. You lose. And if we hit the red, yeah, we win. Let me just move the green over here. And jump. And then we hit the red and we win. And that's it for today. Future me, I'm back. This should be the x velocity, this should also be x velocity, and this should be -1. And everything else looks okay.